Money. We think about it every day. We work for it, we save it, we spend it. Some of us even lose sleep over it. But here's the thing. Money isn't really about numbers, charts, or even strategy. Money is about us, our hopes, our fears, our mistakes, and the stories we tell ourselves. Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money, is one of the most powerful reminders that wealth has less to do with what you know and more to do with how you behave. In this video, I'll take you through all 20 chapters of this book. Not only will I summarize the lessons, I'll also add real-life examples, human experiences, and practical wisdom that you can use in your own life. And by the end, you'll see money, and maybe even your own decisions, in a completely new way. So let's dive in. Let's start with this. No one is crazy when it comes to money. That sounds strange, right? Because from the outside, other people's financial decisions often look completely insane. Why would someone blow their paycheck on designer clothes? Why would someone else hide cash under their mattress instead of investing it? But here's the truth. Every decision people make with money makes sense to them, based on their personal life experiences. Imagine someone who grew up during the Great Depression. To them, saving every penny, avoiding risk, and never trusting banks makes sense. Now compare that to someone who grew up in Silicon Valley during the tech boom. To them, risk-taking, investing in startups, and moving fast makes sense. Both perspectives are shaped by experiences, not logic, which means you can't really judge. The lesson is simple. People don't make financial choices on spreadsheets. They make them in real life, based on their fears and memories. So instead of calling people crazy, remember, they're just playing a different financial game. Next, luck and risk. We love to believe success is just hard work, and we love to believe failure is just laziness. But the reality is, luck and risk play a much bigger role than we admit. Take Bill Gates, for example. Yes, he's brilliant, but he also happened to attend one of the only high schools in the 1970s that had a computer. That was luck. Luck most kids never had. Now, look at someone equally smart, born in a poor village or in a war zone. They might never get the same chance. That's risk. The lesson? Be careful who you admire and who you look down upon. Not all success is purely earned, and not all poverty is purely deserved. So instead of copying individuals, focus on broad patterns like consistency, saving, and patience. Those matter more than any one lucky break. Chapter 3. Never enough. Have you ever noticed that no matter how much people have, they want more? That's the danger of never enough. Even billionaires sometimes risk everything, their freedom, their reputation, even their families, just to get more. The lesson here is simple. Don't risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need. The hardest financial skill is stopping the goalpost from moving. Because social comparison never ends. You earn $100,000? Great. Until you meet someone earning $200,000. You buy a nice car? Great. Until your neighbor buys a nicer one. But here's the wisdom. Enough is not too little. Enough means you've won. Chapter 4. Confounding Compounding. Now here's one of the most powerful forces in money. Compounding. Compounding is simple. Your money makes money, and then that money makes money. But the real magic is time. Warren Buffett didn't become a billionaire because of one brilliant investment. He became a billionaire because he started investing young and stayed consistent for decades. Compounding is like planting a tree. At first it looks small, unimpressive, but given enough years, it grows tall, strong, and shades entire neighborhoods. The takeaway, you don't need extraordinary effort for extraordinary results. You just need patience. Chapter 5. Getting wealthy vs. staying wealthy. Getting money is one thing. Keeping it is another. Getting wealthy requires optimism, risk-taking, and putting yourself out there. But staying wealthy, That requires humility, caution, and the constant awareness that what you've built can be taken away. Think about lottery winners. Many go broke because they only knew how to get money, not how to keep it. Compare that to Warren Buffett, who's been cautious his entire career. The lesson: don't just chase big returns, chase resilience. Be financially unbreakable, because survival, sticking around long enough, is the key to compounding. Chapter 6: Tails You Win. Here's a strange truth about money. You can be wrong half the time and still get rich. That's because of what Morgan Housel calls tails. In investing, most outcomes come from just a few big events. Think of it this way: Amazon has launched hundreds of products, but almost all of its success came from a few tailwinds like Amazon Web Services and Prime. The same is true for life. One job opportunity, one investment, one relationship can completely outweigh dozens of failures. So don't fear being wrong often. What matters is sticking around long enough for the tails to work in your favor. Chapter 7: Freedom. Now let's talk about the ultimate dividend of money: freedom. Yes, money can buy cars, houses, and gadgets, but the greatest thing money buys is control of your time. Imagine waking up and deciding how to spend your day. Imagine working because you want to, not because you have to. That's freedom, and that's true wealth. So instead of measuring money by material things, measure it by how much of your day belongs to you. Chapter 8: Man in the Car Paradox. Here's a funny paradox. When you see someone driving an expensive car, you don't think, wow, that person is amazing. You think, wow, if I had that car, I'd look amazing. The truth is, no one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. Status symbols rarely bring the respect you think they will. If you want admiration, don't chase horsepower. Chase humility, kindness, and empathy. Those things get you real respect. Chapter 9: Wealth is what you don't see. Here's a big one. Wealth is invisible. The cars, clothes, and watches you see people showing off, that's spending, not wealth. Real wealth is hidden. It's in bank accounts, investments, savings, and assets you don't see. The fastest way to have less money is to spend it trying to show people you have money. So stop worrying about looking rich. Start focusing on being rich. Chapter 10: Save money. Here's a truth most people miss. Building wealth has little to do with your income or your investment returns. It has everything to do with your saving rate. You can't control the market. You can't guarantee high returns, but you can always control how much you save. Saving gives you options. It gives you flexibility to wait for good opportunities, to walk away from bad jobs, to handle emergencies. The lesson: savings equals freedom. And the way to save more isn't to raise your income, it's to raise your humility. Because the less you feel the need to show off, the more you can save. Chapter 11: Reasonable. Rational. When it comes to money, being reasonable beats being purely rational. You're not a robot. You're a human being with emotions, fears, and dreams, and that's okay. A rational decision might say, invest everything in the highest return stock. But a reasonable decision might be, I'll invest in what helps me sleep at night. Over the long run, reasonable beats rational because it's sustainable. If you can stick with a plan without losing sleep, you'll go further than the person who quits a rational plan because it was unbearable. Chapter 12: Surprise. Here's the problem with using history to predict the future. The biggest events are always surprises. Think about it. The Great Depression, World War II, the dot-com crash, the 2008 financial crisis, COVID-19. None of them were obvious before they happened. So if your financial plan only works when history repeats itself, you're in danger. The real lesson? Expect surprises. Build a life and portfolio that can survive the unexpected. Chapter 13: Room for Error. The most important part of every plan is planning for the plan not to go according to plan. This is called room for error. It means building a margin of safety into your life. Investors call it diversification. Engineers call it redundancy. Parents call it having backup diapers. Whatever you call it, it matters. Room for error is what keeps you in the game when things go wrong. Chapter 14. You'll change. Long-term planning is harder than it seems because you, the person you're planning for, will change. Think about it. What you wanted at age 18 is not what you want at age 30 or 50. Your goals, values, and desires evolve, so be flexible. Avoid extreme financial decisions based on who you are today. Leave room for your future self to choose differently. Chapter 15. Nothing's free. Everything has a price, but not all prices are on the label. The price of high investment returns is volatility. The price of success might be long hours. The price of freedom is discipline. Don't fool yourself into thinking you're getting something for nothing. The question is never, do I pay a price? But is the price worth paying? Chapter 16. You and me. One of the worst mistakes in money is copying people who are playing a different game. Day traders and long-term investors play different games. Retirees and college students play different games. So be careful. Don't take advice from someone whose goals don't match yours. Chapter 17. The seduction of pessimism. Here's something interesting. Pessimism sounds smarter than optimism. If you say, the market will crash, people nod. If you say, the future will be better, people laugh. But historically, progress wins. The world has problems, yes, but the long arc bends upward. So don't be fooled by the seductive voice of pessimism. Optimism is quieter, but it's usually right over the long run. Chapter 18. When you'll believe anything. When people are desperate, they'll believe almost anything. That's why financial scams thrive. Ponzi schemes, fake gold, crypto scams, they all feed on desperation and fear. The lesson, when money and emotions mix, be extra careful. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Chapter 19. All together now. This chapter brings it all together. No matter how much you earn, you'll never build wealth if you can't control spending. The single most powerful thing you can do as an investor is increase your time horizon. Become comfortable with being wrong often. Use money to gain control of your time. Save, save, and save more. Always leave room for error. Avoid extremes. That's it. The psychology of money isn't about formulas, it's about behavior. Chapter 20. Confessions. The final lesson is simple. Never interrupt compounding unnecessarily. Wealth grows slowly, then suddenly, but only if you let it. Be honest with yourself. Know your limits. Protect your self-worth. And above all, play your own game with patience. So what's the big takeaway from the psychology of money? Wealth is not about IQ. It's about behavior. It's about knowing what's enough, respecting luck and risk, saving more, avoiding extremes, and using money not to impress others, but to buy yourself freedom. If you enjoyed this deep dive, I've got more book summaries waiting for you. From Robert Kiyosaki's Why the Rich Are Getting Richer to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, each packed with lessons to transform the way you think about wealth. So hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and check out my other videos, because the psychology of money is really the psychology of life, and when you master it, everything changes.